You know, my mission has become the toughest mission on earth. And I'm alone. And I can't trust any human being on earth to tell the truth. Not one. Not one person anywhere in the world is going to tell the truth. And I find it astonishing when the truth matters. And the truth is the most critical thing on earth, the real truth. And for some reason, 99.9% of the whole human population turns away from the most powerful truth, the most powerful confirmation that God does exist, with the most powerful biological evidence and scientific evidence at the top levels of every platform, by the biggest think tank in the world, by the biggest mastermind reports, by the biggest mental health research, and by DNA studies done. 16,000 top scholars worldwide is on exactly the same page, on the biggest merge ever in human history, the cradle of life. We found the cradle of life. We found out the truth. How to go back into primordial motor skills. How to use our natural selection. How to preserve DNA with longevity. How to stop suffering from mental disorders, gene defects, and every single thing we die prematurely from, and every single thing we suffer from. Imagine the liberation to create heaven on earth. Imagine having the aura and the power with divinity, divine power to command nature. Imagine you having divine power to command nature. You can't get more powerful wisdom than this. Sevenfold wisdom knowledge, so far beyond the mind can't work it out. The mind doesn't understand. It's limited. To learn how to think outside the mind and cross over into your primordial state and use natural selection has a profound effect on your reality that changes all the circumstances with 10 times more power, 10 times more love, 10 times more everything, with the most powerful clarification you've ever received in your life. To be free, to be liberated from every single thing you suffer from and everything you die prematurely from. Imagine for one moment, just imagine for one moment, it's right here, right now. It's available to any human being on earth if you understand how to cross over back in your primordial state, back in your celestial primordial state. And you don't know what it is because you're oppressed and you have amnesia, and we wake up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap where you start to preserve DNA with longevity and never suffer the consequence ever again. Just imagine the divine power that's available to you that you know nothing about because the mind can't understand this. The mind's the problem. It limits you. This is unlimited, limitless. It's a genetic process. It's ancestry memory coded in your own DNA. Okay? Coded in your own DNA. It's in every single human being on earth, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what you believe in. Everybody is wrong right now because they don't have the divine power to command nature. So therefore they're wrong. No matter what they say, no matter what comes out of their mouth, no matter what they believe in, religious, political, cults, and New Age, doesn't matter. If they don't have the divine power to command nature, then they don't know. So you need to listen to people that knows, that has the genuine experience and wisdom and knowledge with the most powerful confirmation on earth. And I'm primordial being number one with the most powerful declarations made on earth, avoided the most. And you've got to ask yourself, Why on God's earth would every pastor, priest and Christian in New Age and every artificial human being on the earth believe in their own mind? Why would they believe in their own voice and their own mind and come to their own conclusion with reasoning? Why would they do that? If I can do what Christ can and more, and what every apostle can in that bloodline with divine intervention and divine power, then why on God's earth would you not want to know how to receive that divine power with natural selection? Because natural selection is taking place in DNA right now, worldwide, and you're not in control, nor is your pastors and preachers or Christianity or New Age or any person in the world. You are not in control. It's a natural selection, a natural order in life. And if you're not natural, you're not getting selected. Do I make myself clear? Because it's not negotiable. You cannot manipulate the truth or twist the truth and twist the fabric of truth to suit yourself in your own comfort zone with any evolution mutation or any artificial intelligence, because it doesn't work. Grammar doesn't work. It's about your biological fields. It's about your natural preservation made for life. It's about your gut feeling, the chakra, the self-preservation made for life. That activates two-minds mentality. It's about the shiver in your spine, Jacob's ladder, the Neuralink, the tree of life, where you create the sacred secretion through the third eye with the sixth sense, where you see the picture that tells you 1,000 words cannot lie to you. Dimensional thinking, remote view, predicting the future, prevent what's going to happen with remote viewing, and deja vu. An ability that's in your DNA with natural selection and natural order. They call it spirituality and not mentality, because that's what you're trapped into, a personality. And you have amnesia, your 24th chromosome's in dormancy, that gives you all the supernatural power and superhuman abilities. It's in dormancy in cellular research, but you have it. You have 130 nucleosome molecules genetic repair kit that preserves your DNA in your aura so it's clockwise, 24 hours a day. Right now it's anti-clockwise and only repairs 3 hours a night in 98.7% because they're living in the wrong mind. They're living inside the mind in a personality and make unnatural selections when nearly everything they do by design. It's declared that voices in your mind are ultimately designed for human extinction because they're only personalities. They're only mentality and personality. Think outside the mind, you can do what I can and more, as you see in the movie Limitless. Limitless, it takes a drug called drug manna. Moses and Christ used come from a plant called mayam. And it's a life support mechanism. It's a mind manipulation drug that activates the sacred secretion to conduct with, to think outside the mind, with the quantum mechanics of a relationship. They're called the 8 tools of righteousness by the top Shiller masterminds in the world, up to 257 years old with a birth certificate, that has the divine power to command nature. We have a 500-year-old that can levitate a 1-ton stone without a birth certificate. 500 years old, okay? We follow Noah and his family, the Nephilims, which took away our universal language and made us live for no more than 120 years, okay? And they put us in nations with confusion and frustrations with religious political cults. They're the milestone of Nimrod that runs the whole world, the system. Baal, voltage reliability anti-clockwise. That means your aura in your body cells goes into corruption, coercion, collusion during the daytime and can only appear 3.5 hours a night, anti-clockwise. A child is perfect from 0 to 7 and his aura is clockwise. Then he goes to school and goes to be anti-clockwise and be mentally institutionalized into the mind. Then he thinks he's something special with IQ and comes out of school and discredits his parents as if they're dinosaurs. And then a child who's innocent, you know, the biggest studies ever done is that the first phenomenon that you have in your life, unexplained earth phenomenon, is a boogeyman, the monster under the bed. And some kids see shadows, angelic beings. Some have imaginary friends throughout their life and forbidden to talk about it. But they have an angel watching over them, and some of them are blessed and go through a natural selection and can do many divine things, right, to command nature. I have such a friend, a celestial primordial being that's been with me since I was a child with divine interventions. And those divine interventions are now recorded as the most powerful miracles on earth, with CCTV, peer reports, right? CCTV on international airports, with the most powerful confirmation on earth. The most powerful declaration ever made on earth by the biggest, most powerful security system in the world, the biggest think tank in the world, DNA studies done, and mental health research. The whole lot in one. I'm primordial being number one with the most powerful documents on earth on every single level. I've left my mark on earth. You see in these videos in this link. The testimony of Dracula Reborn. There's no other human being on earth, anywhere in the world, that can match or compare with me. God made it that way, with the most powerful divine interventions and 5 most powerful biblical prophecies land and declared throughout society in the last 60 years on my date of birth. I cannot make it up. I cannot lie. God made it that way through natural selection. Now imagine you're sitting down for 6.5 hours with the top scholars in the world and top bowlers, and you're told you're the only one on every single study done for 34 years. You brought someone back to life in 1992 with 7 peer reports and CCTV. 3 times. Most powerful poem written in 2003, the one and only worldwide number 1 for 8 months. Massive studies done on this. Massive studies done on this by the top scholars and scientists in the world and biological evidence. Jeremy Griffiths leads the world transformation movement in DNA, genetic memory, genetic process. We can all do what Christ can and more in our DNA. In the biggest study ever done with 16,000 top scholars on the same page, the Holy Grail of Life. The book Freedom by Jeremy Griffiths is a cure of the human conditioning for the first time in human history that will cure every single thing we suffer from. To go back in a primal state where we can all do what Christ can and more with a genetic memory and a genetic process in DNA. The Book of Life, declared the Book of Life. I am the most powerful, solid evidence in the world of bringing someone back to life with divine intervention, divine power. The Kempsey bus accident that stopped Australia. My brother died after 3.5 weeks in coma. 20 people died on his bus. After the next 10 days, when he flatlined, he had a massive divine intervention. 19 of them recorded by the top doctor in the hospital, Dr. Wright, that owns his own more than the PA hospital, and the head of Queensland Mental Health with a massive article in the paper. 19 people came to say goodbye to my brother, and he couldn't remember the accident. He didn't know anything except for his wife. She was the last one that came. The front page of the paper said, she said, written by Dr. Wright, who was an atheist, and so was the psychiatrist. They were both atheists. Think about that for a moment. They put a massive article in the paper, one of the biggest miracles on earth, where they were there in the room when these divine interventions took place. Like an orb of light came into the room and changed every vibrations in that room. And we were all there, my family, myself, the doctors, Dr. Wright, and the psychiatrist when Kathy came. We're all there at the same time. And they confirmed 18 people that my brother said goodbye to was the first name of every person that died in his bus. You think it's a coincidence that these things happen? Think about this. In the front page of the paper, Dr. Wright says, Kathy said, the driver went in the abyss. The rest of the people that came to say goodbye to my brother were getting one more final chance because they were lost, they had amnesia, and they were trapped in a reincarnation trap. Remember, Christ woke up at 24 from amnesia, and he said, I'm son of David, son of Abraham. Remember Nimrod? He resurrected the all-seeing eye of Horus, right? Through Osiris. He was hero, and the Rockefellers always resurrect, always control the world, always mastermind their mind, and control the whole world with amnesia, and put them in a reincarnation trap, so they keep coming back like fools. Known fact worldwide, in the oldest Bibles in the world, and it's in the Bibles anyway, but people don't believe in it. Christ said at 24, he discovered who he was. He said, I'm son of David, son of Abraham, with this genetic memory. Nimrod in Osiris had the same genetic memory. In the fucking Bible, you morons. So pastors and preachers and teachers keep coming back in the reincarnation trap and keep dying prematurely from stress-related diseases. Never from natural age. Never once in any Western civilization do they die from natural age. They keep coming back in the reincarnation trap and lie to everybody because they're mental species, right? They use scholars to manipulate the Bible with what they believe in because they're mental. They always manipulate the truth, rewrite the Bible over and over again. And that's what Westerners are like. They use evolution, mutation, and artificial intelligence non-stop and rewrite the Bibles to suit their mentality. But they're the ones that are wrong. They're the ones that lie all the time. They're the ones that live in the most powerful placebo effect of propaganda and lies and manipulate one another. They're never, ever, ever honest and down to earth, and not one of them knows how to create a reputation by word of mouth. And they can't keep a relation together in real life with codependent power because they don't have any codependent relationships. They've got no soulmates. We've done a soulmate test worldwide for 46 years. Westerners barely never have any soulmate relationships or any codependent relationships. It's a known fact. 98% do not know what a soulmate relationship is because they've never had one. Never had one in their life. So how would they know? How would they know? They don't have an aura. It only works 1 to 5% in every Westerner. We have 100%. We use 100% of our mind and 100% aura with divine power to command nature and fold space and time in 6 international events. Well, I'm not on one camera. On border security, not on one camera. Every other passenger's on the camera. And the JPs confirmed to walk through. I'm on CCTV outside border security in every international event. Then they put me in a 747 in the middle of the night with 55 officers with body cam and dictaphones because they were shit scared. The whole goddamn system is terrified of me. Shit scared. In the Star Chamber inquiry, 130 people arrested across Australia with God-like power, and they were shit scared, and I shut them down for corruption, coercion, collusion, and treasoning. That was the introduction to me, and they got shit scared of me. I wrote a book in 2004, and they got shit scared and stopped the book with 66 court orders because they were shit scared of me. They disarmed Australia in 1996 with the Martin Bryan boat plan. We're on the front page of the paper 5 years later with all the guns in a shipping container, fully loaded with every serial number checked out on the 18th of January 2001, Brisbane Courier Mail. Go look yourself. We got the scientists, we got the guns, we got every single thing about the depopulation plan, and we exposed that in 97. That's why Dealing Nassan got locked up. I was locked up for 10 years in corruption. My arresting officer commends me because we exposed the world of being under mind control in 1997. And we showed you worldwide in the World Declaration on the 27th September 99, your parents are crazy. The world is crazy. They lost their sixth sense, going into 6 mass extinction for the 6th time. They lost their spirituality because they live in mentality. Your 6th sense is 27 biofields. Mental telepathy, ESP, remote and telekinesis, levitation, spoon mini clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu, to predict the future, prevent what's going to happen, multiple perceptions, multiple universal layers, universal language, codependent feelings through the atmosphere, and having that kind of integrated relationship that gives you the God-given power to command nature with dimensional thinking. And you have the power through the relationship. You have the power and you're the most high as a kite. The METH effect, alert, alive, wake and aware, with DMT, MDMA, and opiates all at the same time. High as a kite, because you create the sacred secretion that makes you high as a kite, and high on vibrations, high on frequencies, high on sound, clarification, right? The most divine power, the most divine high. And when you're in it, You know it. You know everyone else is full of BS and do not know what they do when they're living in their mind and limit it so much. When we show you Limitless in the movie, how to use 100% of your brain with a vortex of information with sevenfold Whistleblowers, you can see in the movie when he writes a book overnight that's brilliant and goes down to Wall Street and make millions of dollars, and they wouldn't want you to have that ability now, would they? No, they wouldn't. They'd rather be brain dead. And you're brainwashed in 85 to 93% of your brain because you can only 7 to 15%. And the highest IQ people in the world, which means you're an actor for someone else when you can't use 100%. And you can't master your own mind like a mathematical genius to unravel every single thing that you're designed with. And you can't, because you can't think outside the mind. You're trapped in the mind with psychological behavior, in a personality, with mentality, and that's what you depend on. And that's why you're a dead corpse compared to someone who's alive. Dead corpse. You only got 1 to 5% of your aura, right? And you got no aura clockwise in your DNA during the daytime. Only at night time for 3.5 hours when you're in dream time. And we live in dream time all the time because we live outside the mind, not in the mind. You know, when you're naturally selected with the most powerful confirmation on earth, and you're sitting down with the top scholars and told you're the only one, imagine what it's like to be in your shoes. You're being rejected by everyone, your family, your loved ones, your friends, your own kids. You're in the worst moment of your fucking life. You're in the worst moment of your fucking life where you've been rejected so much, right, that you feel the guilt as you fail your own kids. Then you go through this transformation. Then you go back into a primal state like this. Then you discover yourself from amnesia yourself with your own genetic memory, and you wake up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap. Then you realize how much you failed your loved ones and your children. That's the first dilemma you face. When you're told you're primordial being number one with the most divine power and divine intervention ever recorded in history, you're the only one. And when you realize that, and everybody thinks you're crazy or a freak of nature, and everybody's against you, imagine what you're facing. You now wake up from amnesia and realize how fucked up you were yourself. How wrong you were yourself with every single thing you come to learn about, no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from. You realize you didn't know what you were doing in here. I died in 2012, went through a massive divine intervention and a massive transformation for 3.5 years, right, with DNA studies to back it up. I can do things no one else can do with genetic repair. My DNA goes clockwise and repairs every single thing I die from or should die from. Proven with the most powerful confirmation on earth. I go clockwise and repair every single thing. I had a major heart attack, 3 stents fitted. I grew brand new artists around, don't take drugs. I died for 23 minutes in 2012. Paralyzed, went down, so I'll never walk in. Got up and walked out. Confirmed. I did it myself. Confirmed. I brought someone back to life, not once, not twice, several times, with peer reports and interviews done. My brother didn't talk to me for 27 years in the Kempsey bus accident. He was sent back because of me, for the same reason the other 18 were, getting another opportunity. When he died, he saw his love of his wife, Kathy, when he flatlined, and he was sent back because of me. And he blamed me for 27 years. How do you think that felt? I didn't even know. I didn't even know for 27 fucking years. I got sent back from the international airport to see my mum and to see my brother for 2 different powerful reasons for myself. God said, Kim, you were chosen the day you're born. I'm going to send you back to see your mum and your brother, and I'm going to create the most powerful confirmation on earth at the same time with border security and the 6 announcements, the most powerful confirmation on earth, and he did. He backed it up. So powerful, it's the most powerful confirmation on earth. But he sent me home to see my mum and my brother. My brother didn't talk to me for 27 years, as he blamed me, and I didn't even know. I told my mum about the worst moment of her life in 1945, World War II. I said, Mum, where were we? What happened? We're sitting in a cell and we're shit scared, and there's bombs outside. Okay, it was a dream that was haunting me as a child, and I was innocent. She said, I was dreaming, go back to sleep. She said, I'm dreaming, stop it, I'm crazy. She freaked out. So she didn't tell me for 50 years. For 50 years, I didn't know what I was about to learn. Then God sends me through 6 international heavens back to see my mum and my brother. Creates the most powerful combination with border security, but he does this for me. I face my brother and he tells me the first time. He didn't talk to me for 27 years because he was sent back from heaven to earth because of me. My mother tells me I was drowned in a bathtub at 2 years old and I didn't know. I didn't even know I was clinically dead at 2 years old and I didn't know. And then she said to me, Kim, it wasn't you in that moment. It was me and my mum. Me and your grandmother. And you described it perfectly and explained exactly how I felt. And it scared me, Kim. I thought you would come back to haunt me. You never mentioned anything about God. I said, Mum, I was 5 years old, I was innocent. And boom, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It all came to me with deja vu in a time where time still life preserves, where you go into the past and in the future. It came to me when I died. I remember I went into the past and saw her past. I saw her past when I died, and I don't remember being dead. But when she told me I drowned in the bathtub, something came to me out of the blue. The picture that tells me 1,000 words are going to lie to me. Dimensional thinking, remote viewing, through deja vu into the past and into the future. And I realized for the first time in 2017, on the 27th of January, on my son's birthday, exactly 27 years later, from when Kathy told Jan that everybody was lost in getting one more final chance, and she was the only one that made it, and the driver went in the abyss. That was the 27th of January, 1990. Exactly 27 years later to the date is when I come through the international airports. I wrote the documents on the 27th of February 2016 on my grandson's birthday, and I'm born the 27th. And it happens like this on these dates for a reason, because God designed the divine intervention to land like this on these dates with the most powerful confirmation on earth. Then I come back for the border security on my grandson's birthday, and I go face my mum and my brother, and it happens on this day, exactly 27 years later to the day. And my mum turns around and tells me it was not me, it was her. And when she told me I died, deja vu hit me like a ton of bricks in a time where time still love preserves, and I saw the picture that tells me 1,000 words, because when I died at 2 years old, it wasn't the only thing I saw. I saw many things. I saw the crossover. I saw the new beginning. I saw how we are not going to affect by this. I saw how we cross over. We cross over right in the extinction, right in the middle of extinction. In a blink of an eye, you won't know nothing. We're going to a new dimension, a new parallel world with 7-fold wisdom knowledge, and you won't even know. You won't even know. I saw it. I saw it, the vision, right, of the end times, of the crossover. And I crossed over right in the brinks of whatever happens. And I don't know what happens. I've never seen it. I've only seen deja vu in LA and told you about this and tidal waves, but I'm not there. It's just seeing their future. I'm seeing their future in those locations. And I've said that many times. But we cross over. Those that think instinctively tune out of program, those who are in their sixth sense of primordial state, cross over. And we teach the crossover, the great resurrection with the book Freedom, okay, by Jeremy Gibbs, the Holy Breath of Life. And we're not breathing the Holy Breath of Life. And it's the only thing that will change your biology, to go back in your sixth sense, to think outside the mind, to go back into primordial state in the very image you create into, in DNA, the book of life, with your own genetic memory and your own genetic process through a transformation, the great transformation. The world transformation in DNA through natural selection. You have to be natural. You have to go through a process to go back to natural selection, because you're artificial to the shit house. And you make so many artificial selections, you're not even aware of it. You're brought into the world to be artificial. So you don't know how artificial you are in your generation. From generation to generation, you have no idea. You can't use your natural abilities. You can't use your natural process. You can't master your own mind, use 100%. You haven't got dimensional thinking. You haven't got divine power to command nature at all. You live in a delusion if you think so. We bring you through this. Don't lie to yourself. Don't let your mind control you. It's ultimately designed from extinction, and it sounds simply, Christ's consciousness is only a personality. Consciousness is only a middle event, a middle process, an illusion, imagination. And the consciousness is unaware of the outside influence that controls your reality. And until you get out of your mind, you'll never know. And if you don't, you don't. You'll never know. You have amnesia. How would you know? Take the red pill. You can't go back because you cross over and stick your head through the light end tunnel and go down the ladder. As Plato describes in 15 books, and as Jeremy Gibbs describes with the book Freedom, that's going to cure the humanity and save humanity. And it's my DNA that leads to research to save humanity. Since 2008, in the biggest study ever done, I bring the cure of the human condition into humanity in my DNA, in the biggest, most powerful research ever done. DNA is to clear the book of life. And it's my DNA that leads society with the most powerful combination on earth, with the most powerful design, with the most powerful divine interventions ever developed in modern history. More powerful than Christ himself. But when I went through this, I got the genetic memory of knowing that I can do the things that Christ can and more with the most powerful confirmation on earth. Full on and real and genuine and down to earth. The real deal. Which means I have the most powerful experience and developed that way through natural selection, right? And I didn't even know myself. I had no fucking idea at all. None. I had amnesia like you do. I went through a transformation. When I died in 2012, a 3.5-year transformation, and believe me, it's fucking powerful. It's beyond your fucking mind. And you do not know what you do when you're living in your mind with artificial intelligence and unnatural selection and leverage mutation. You do not know what you do. Trust me, I know. And it's not easy. And it's not easy to take on board because the mind's very complicated and the mind's very scared. But you're controlled by stress, fear, and anxiety, confusion, frustration, illusion, and paranoia, and your body sends corruption during the daytime and can only be at night time in 98.7% of the population, anti-clockwise, which means every human being on earth is suffering from the human conditioning. In every single study done, everybody dies prematurely from stress-related diseases. And every single thing they die and suffer from is their body cells going corruption, illusion, and treasoning, because the voltage reliability is anti-clockwise. We are the two most powerful pillars of salts, me and Marin. And I can promise you that. There's no doubt that we have the most divine power in the world. Marin is 100% unexplainable. Her parents don't know how to get on with it because her voltage reliability, her aura, is that powerful. Her spirit, she doesn't live in a vessel. She doesn't live in a personality. She's the most innocent child and person you'll ever come across. But outside, her spirit is powerful. And her parents, she does everybody's heads in. And she doesn't have to say a word. Her spirit does it. They don't know how to take her. The hospital thinks she needs a team when a spinal cord, right, went over in a wheelchair with MS. And it's voltage and reliability approved in the hospital. I stood her up, straightened the spine up, and a Neuralink with divine power and divine intervention, and she walked out of hospital straight away when they needed a team because they couldn't work her out. They couldn't work her out. Peter, she lived with for 11 years. He drinks to get numb because he can't work her out. Me taking her away from Peter, he loves her to death. They all love her to death like an innocent child, but they can't work her out. She won a diploma. She's read more than 6,000 books. She's been halfway around the world. She lived a life you wouldn't believe, where people protect her and feel sorry for Marin and spoil her rotten. She's been spoiled her whole life. She's been looked after in ways nobody else in the world ever has. She's got plenty of money and a great, fantastic life, but she's deadly innocent and doesn't even have to communicate because everybody does it for her. She has a natural selection where she selected people that take care of her and make every decision for her because she doesn't even make a decision. The fifth element, the perfect element, the movie, Lilu, the pillar of salt, Mary. No one could work Mary out. Nicodemus could not work it out. He was a leader in the world of exorcism when someone's possessed. And they thought Mary was possessed. No, she wasn't. They couldn't work out. Christ was the only one that could work out and knew exactly what was going on with Mary, the pillar of salt. Nobody else could. That's why she ascended with Christ. That's why the two witnesses, the two candlesticks, the two olive trees, would start with a man and woman and finish with a woman, the pillars of salt. Keanu Reeves, 27, in the movie Matrix, with resurrection, and Lilu, the fifth element, the perfect element. Divine power to command nature. The mother and the father, the two pillars of salt, the soulmate relationship, the universal power, soulmate integrated relationship that's powerful. And when you have that soulmate relationship, you have the power. With the mother and the father, divine power to command nature, the two candlesticks, the two olive trees, the two witnesses. It starts with a man and woman and it'll finish a man and woman. The mother and the father. If you have a problem with that, take a hike. Because that's how it is. And it's not fucking negotiable by any one of your Western civilization and their self-centered mentality and their fucked up reality. Because it's unrealistic. They're back to front reverse psychology. They're artificial. They're evolution mutation. They live in the 23rd chromosome, the seed of the dragon, with reptilian mentality in their fucking reality. Low life, voltage reliability, low life. And they are the low life. The high life is the black, double Y, double X chromosome. The Aboriginals, the Australian Aboriginals are the most powerful divine species in the world with divine intervention and divine power. Grow 10 times more fruit, 10 times more nutritious value because they bear the right fruit. They can levitate a 1-ton stone. You couldn't levitate a pinball. You're not in the Christ image. You're in Baal's image. Voltage reliability underclockwise. And it doesn't matter what comes out of your fucking mouth, especially actors on screens and self-proclaimed nutcases that thinks they're chosen. They're chosen by the boys of mine, ultimately designed to bring things into the fifth dimensional field. Light, power, discipline, demonic, because they're just personalities. And that's what they are. They're actors, Hollywood American actors and American spinners, and self-centered creatures. They're not humble. They're not spirituality. They're just mentality. That's why Christ stood against every Babylonian beast and every one of their filthy low-life systems and was always an outlaw and worked in the streets and took you to the paddocks and told you the real truth. And they didn't want to hear the truth. They never fucking do. They only want their own truth because they manifest their own truth and come to their own conclusion with reasoning because they're nefarious inside their mind in a 5-sense world. And that's all they got. They can't use the other 27 senses. They have 37 and they're in dormancy. They can't use their 24th chromosome in dormancy. They can't use 85 to 93% of the brain because they live in their mind with IQ and artificial intelligence that they depend on so much. The highest IQ people in the world can only use 15% of the brain. So they're artificial and controlled by an outside influence that they give consent to, no matter what comes out of their mouth. They can say what they like. They can't get their grammar out of this. They can't textile their way out of this. They can't justify what they believe in. And believe me, 99% of them will not cross over. They won't fucking cross over, these idiots. They won't go back in the Brahman state in the image that God created them in. Because they believe otherwise in their mind, where the boy's mother tells them to do that, and they live in a comfort zone. And that's why they'll never go for every rabbit hole and stick their head through the light in the tunnel, as Plato describes in 15 books. And as Jeremy Guru says, they won't stick their head through the light in the tunnel because they're always trapped in a comfort zone in their own molecule and shame they won't face because they're not innocent. They're not selflessness. They won't go back to the innocence to be selfless. They won't do it. They're trapped so deep into themselves, most of them are beyond the point of return, declared worldwide, as we're going to 6 mass extinctions driven the 6th sense for the 6th time. It's not a fucking joke. Animals go around circles over the earth, birds falling out of the sky. Look at buying syndromes worldwide. Peer reports. A body snatching mice. A zombie apocalypse, they call it. And you think it's a fucking joke? It's on peer reports worldwide in every hospital, man. They lost their magnetic fields. They lost their 6th sense. And that's their spirituality. In the greatest psychological warfare and spiritual warfare in human history. And they think their mentality is going to get them out of this when they're trapped in their mind, beyond the point of return with amnesia, and don't understand what's going on, because the mind is the most powerful, complicated thing, and your mind's your worst enemy that plays tricks and games in you with personalities to believe in your own truth, manifest your own truth, and come to your own conclusion with reasoning with personalities. They'll tell you whatever you want to hear. In your consciousness, in heavenly, it's all a personality. It's all in your mind. And it's got you by the balls because you listen to the voice of mine. Ultimately discipling things that declared by Jim McGill's 45,000 teachers and 16,000 top scholars. The most avoided subject in the world is the real truth. By 99% of Western civilization that only believes in their own truth, with scientific evolution theories that aren't facts, and artificial intelligence and mutation, because that's what they mutate into all the time, their own truth. That's why they're going in the abyss, no matter what comes out of their mouth, because they're not spirituality, they're not humble, and they haven't got divine power and gone through a natural selection, a natural divine selection, a natural divine selection. Only 1.3% of the population is clockwise in their aura and their DNA, and that's the only amount of people that's been selected, and they're not who you think. I can promise you that. Imagine you find out you're the one through all these events, and what you're dealing with is all your family's got amnesia, and you watch your own brother and mother wake up from amnesia in a powerful divine event, because they woke up from amnesia and told me the truth right in front of my face on that day, and I watched it with my own two eyes. Then when I was in Brisbane Detention Centre, and they found out the confirmation, the most powerful confirmation, the head of Border Security was an atheist, flew up from Melbourne to Brisbane, comes in with a pastor, Sarah, at Brisbane Detention Centre in March 2017. Check it out. Get a confirmation. Every screw came up to me. They all had a divine intervention in that power, right? They all had a divine intervention with the atmosphere and came up to me. And then they were told to remove me with 55 officers. When the Border Security, head of Border Security, flew up from Melbourne, he came in with a pastor, white as a ghost, and he wrote down the most powerful confirmation on earth. With the all-seeing eye, Border Security, and the most sophisticated system in the world, with solid evidence, they confirmed there's not a glitch in the system. Everybody's on the cameras except for me. But the JP's confirmed, especially Brisbane, where we had a talk about Ford's muscle cars, and I came to Australia for Ford muscle cars. He said, I own a Ford man too. I'm a Ford man too. I own a red GTO Mustang. Confirmed. I'm on CCTV outside Border Security 1 minute later. I'm getting on the train platforms. I'm on the train CCTV. The most powerful confirmation on earth by Border Security. And he comes in and he woke up from amnesia. He was an atheist, and he comes in with a pastor, and he was mind blown. He was gobsmacked and speechless. But he wrote down the most powerful confirmation on earth. And he said, as head of Border Security in Australia, right, and also in charge of the hub of the all-seeing eye in Pine Gap, the most powerful divine hub in the world with World Wide Web for CCTV, phone security, all phone systems, and satellites in the hub. The most powerful confirmation on earth from the hub itself. In the most powerful security system in the world with facial recognition. I'm not on one camera. There's not a glitch in the system. Everybody's on the camera. I'm on cameras outside Border Security, outside the hub. Stop and revise your perception. Imagine you're the only one with these kind of interventions, divine interventions like this, and nobody believes in you, not even your family. Yet they saw the 6-page warning letter when I came back to Denmark. I couldn't travel anywhere outside Denmark. A 6-page warning letter with a 2-hour interview. I showed them the letters. I came back, and they woke up from amnesia, and so did Border Security. And I watched it with my own two eyes. And they got so scared they put me in a 747. The system was so terrified with 55 officers with body cam and dictaphones. And in that moment, they wouldn't get on the plane. They wouldn't get on the plane. They were scared of getting the plane. They were terrified of getting on the plane. 55 officers with body cam and dictaphones were terrified of getting on the plane. The government and the system was terrified. I never heard anyone. We just created the most divine intervention with the most powerful confirmation on earth, and they were scared to get on the plane. And the system was scared and had 55 officers with body cam, and they were scared of the most powerful confirmation that God does exist. And the system went deadly against it. You see, the system's full and nefarious. The government's full and nefarious. Australia, Peter Dutton is full and nefarious because he caused this. He is nefarious to the shithouse. And he is subject to perjury, okay, because he set me up for murder with an affidavit. He was also ordered to step down by Peter Dutton, right, Justice Jersey, Chief Justice Jersey in 2010. He was ordered to step down. And then he was removed, Chief Justice Jersey, and then Tony Abbott, the Prime Minister, down to Manu and just on the government's authorities and the defence force and all the government workers, and it's 80% positive meth. Then he pulls him down as well, an immigration issue. He deports me unlawfully and threatens 3 lots of lawyers. Then he sits at Home Affairs and he decriminalised the drug, which is a mind control weapon. He decriminalised the drug at Home Affairs and it's a mind control weapon. So he got rid of me, Chief Justice Jersey, the Prime Minister identified, they're all on the drug. And it's a mind control weapon. And then he gets rid of everybody and he decriminalised the drug. Wake the fuck up. Nefarious Antichrist has taken over your world. And only those that think it's dealing with you in that program because it's right there in front of your face. And you don't believe it because you support Baal and the Antichrist every day without realising, because you know why? You avoid the truth and allow the Antichrist to control the world. You avoid the truth and you support the Antichrist every day of your life by turning a blind eye to what the real truth is. And God knows that. God knows you all support Baal on a daily basis and lie to yourself on a daily basis. You do, because you're trapped beyond the point of return, right? So if you don't cross over, you will not be saved. For that reason alone, because you support the system every day of your life and pretend that you're a God-loving person when you're not. You're a liar and you're just an actor for someone else because you're not in control of your own vessel and you cannot master your own mind, choose 100% of your brain. So who controls you? Because it's not you. You're trapped inside your personality. You're trapped in mentality. You're trapped in a delusional state. You're trapped in denial and delusional denial. And if you can't wake up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap, you're gonna suffer the consequences. And you can't get out of this one.